Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're going to be doing an Odd Eyes deck profile. So I'm really excited for this one because we haven't actually updated this one since Odd Eyes Revolution Dragon was actually released, and I am really excited to show you guys how this deck has changed. It's a really amazing deck that can summon some amazing Odd Eyes Pendulum monsters to your side of the field to just overwhelm your opponent and OTK them. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell next to become part of notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below because we have some awesome words, you guys. Link in the description for every single video, getting a signed card sent in the mail, or even getting requested deck profile every single month that you're a patron along with test hands. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon. So Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon is a really amazing card that has the ability that if this card is in your Pendulum zone, then you can destroy it during the end phase and then add a Pendulum monster from your deck to your hand with 1500 or less attack from your deck to your hand, which is a really good effect. Also, if it's on the field, if it inflicts damage to your opponent by battle, then it inflicts double the damage, which is really awesome, just to inflict double damage. We then play 3 of the single best card in the entire deck, and that is 3 copies of Odd Eyes Arc Pendulum Dragon. So Odd Eyes Arc Pendulum Dragon has an amazing effect that if an Odd Eyes card you control is destroyed by battle or by card effect, then you can special summon 1 Odd Eyes monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard, and you only use this effect once per turn. Yes, it is a vanilla monster, but that's okay, because it has that awesome effect to just be able to add or special summon from your hand, deck, or graveyard to your side of the field. Then we play 3 copies of the new-ish Odd Eyes Revolution Dragon. So Odd Eyes Revolution Dragon's main effect is that you can discard it from your hand, pay 500 life points, and then add from your deck to your hand 1 level 8 or lower Odd Eyes, or 1 level 8 or lower Dragon Pendulum monster from your deck to your hand, which is really good to search a lot of different cards in this deck. We then play a single copy of Odd Eyes Phantom Dragon. So Odd Eyes Phantom Dragon is one of the cards that we use to OTK, and a lot of times we search, but you really just need maybe 1 or 2 copies of this card. What it does is once per turn, when an attack is declared involving your face-up monster and an opponent's monster, if you have an Odd Eyes monster in your other Pendulum zone, you can make that monster gain 1200 attack until the end phase, into the battle phase, which is really good just to boost up an Odd Eyes monster that's usually 2500 all the way up to 3700. And it also has the ability that when this Pendulum summon card inflicts damage to your opponent by attacking, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to the number of Odd Eyes cards in your Pendulum zone times 1200, which can do an additional 2400 damage to your opponent, because the majority of the stuff we're playing in this deck is Odd Eyes anyways. We play 2 copies of Odd Eyes Persona Dragon, which is just really good as a level 1, or not a level 1, but a scale 1 Pendulum monster on your side of the field. And it also has the ability that once per turn during the end phase, if your opponent controls a monster, or if your opponent activated a card or effect this turn, you can target an Odd Eyes monster in your Pendulum zone you control and no other cards. While this card was in your Pendulum zone, you can special summon this card, and if you do, place 1 card, 1 Odd Eyes Pendulum monster from your extra deck in your Pendulum zone, except another copy of itself. And it also has the ability while it's on the field that once per turn, quick effect, you can target 1 monster opponent on the field that was special summoned from the extra deck, and its effects negated until the end of the turn, which is pretty good to summon this card on your opponent's turn or during the end of your turn to be able to stop their effects from activating. We then play a single copy of Perform Pal Odd Eyes Dissolver. Its Pendulum effect is the main effect that you're going to be using. That once per turn, you can fusion summon 1 Dragon Fusion monster from your extra deck using the monsters on your hand or your field. Basically, it counts as a polymerization, which is what's the big effect about this card. We then play 3 copies of Supreme King Dragon Darkworm. Darkworm is an amazing card in this deck that if it's sent to the graveyard, then you get to special summon it back to your side of the field and add a copy of Supreme King Gate to your hand. Any Supreme King Gate, which we only play, we play 2 in this particular build, which is 2 copies of Supreme King Gate 0. Gate 0 is just a searchable card in this deck that's a 0 scale that lets you Pendulum summon really easily, and it's just an overall really good card. We then play 3 copies of Chronograph Sorcerer, which if a monster or if a card on your side of the field is destroyed by a card effect, then you can special summon this card from your hand, and then you can special summon another monster from your hand as well, which is the big effect of this card to be able to special summon to your side of the field. The other effect of this card is during your main phase, you can destroy this card in your Pendulum zone to take a Time Gazer from your deck, hand or deck, and either place it in your Pendulum zone or special summon it to your side of the field, which is super helpful, which we play the single copy of Time Gazer to be able to do that. We then play 2 copies of Zhaoxi Magician. I think that's how you say that. But what this card does is basically it changes the rank of a Xyz monster to a level on your side of the field, which then you can use that monster to go into another rank 7 play, which will then get you your Odd Eyes Raging Dragon or your Arc Rebellion Dragon to be able to get on your side of the field, or Odd Eyes Rebellion Dragon on your side of the field to be able to OTK your opponent. For the last monster of the deck, we're playing a single copy of Perform Pal Odd Eyes Synchron, which is basically just a tuner to be able to go into a bunch of level 8 Synchro monsters with your Chronograph Sorcerer, and it's just an overall really good card in this deck to help you go for a bunch of different plays. So, that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we are going to be playing a single copy of Odd Eyes Fusion, which helps us go into our Odd Eyes Fusion monsters, or a Fusion Dragon monster, because it has the ability that you can Fusion Summon from your extra deck one Fusion Dragon monster using monsters on your side of the field or your hand as a material. And if your opponent controls 2 monsters that were on the field and you don't control a monster, then you use up to 2 Odd Eyes monsters from your extra deck as materials instead. We then, or plus 2 Odd Eyes monsters. We then play 2 copies of Dragon Shrine just to send our Supreme King Dragon Darkworm from the deck to the graveyard. 2 copies of Duelist Alliance. Now this card's really good because it lets you, if you have a Pendulum monster on your Pendulum zone, you can add one Perform Pal Pendulum monster or a Pendulum monster or a Pendulum spell or trap from your deck to your hand, which is pretty good. We then play 3 copies of Spiral Flame Strike. So Spiral Flame Strike is a really, really good card in this deck, and you've got to play it as a 3 of, because it lets you either add, if you control an Odd Eyes, then you can target a card on the field and destroy it, or you can add one level 7 Odd Eyes monster from your deck to your hand, or one face-up Odd Eyes Pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand, which is really good just to be able to grab those cards from your extra deck and put them back on your side of the field and just have them to use as resources. We then play a single copy of Terraforming to search our copies of Sky Iris, which Sky Iris is insane in this deck and is just really, really good because it has the ability, the really, really, really good ability that it lets you make it so your opponent cannot target your Pendulum, Perform Pal, or Odd Eyes cards in your Pendulum zone with card effects, and you can target one other face-up card you control, destroy it, and if you do, you get to add one Odd Eyes card from your deck to your hand, which is a really good effect just to be able to add those cards from your deck to your hand, and it's just a really good searcher overall, especially with your Arc Pendulum being able to, every time an Odd Eyes card is destroyed, you just get to special summon an Odd Eyes. So this card can destroy a card and then be able to special summon off the Arc Pendulum to your side of the field, and then this gives you a search as well and protects your copies of your Odd Eyes cards. We then play 3 copies of Perform Pal Popper Up, which is really good in this particular deck because it has the ability that you can send 3 cards from your hand to the graveyard, and then you draw the same amount of cards, and then you get special summon as many Odd Eyes, Perform Pal, or Magician Pendulum monsters from those cards that you drew. And if you don't special summon for every card that you drew, you lose 1,000, which is pretty bad to be able to lose that 1,000, but in some decks it's really good to be able to draw the 3 and send certain cards from your hand to the graveyard. But this card's really good in this deck because it gets you those additional draws, and it also gives you the added ability of special summoning cards from your hand. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're playing a single copy of Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon, which just gives us additional negations by having the ability that when it's special summon, you can target a face-up monster, attack position monster, and your opponent controls, return that target to the hand, and then during either player's turn, when a spell or trap card or a monster effect is activated, you can shuffle one Pendulum monster from your extra deck into the deck, and then negate the activation to destroy that card, which is really good. One copy of Gatling Ghoul. Gatling Ghoul is one of those cards that I really think that more people need to be playing if you're playing Pendulums, and it's just an overall really good card because it has the ability that if you fusion summon, you can add the ability that this card, if this card is fusion summon, you inflict 200 points of damage to your opponent for each card on the field, and then if it was a fusion summon card, using a Pendulum monster as a material, you can destroy a monster on the field, then if you do, you inflict damage to your opponent equal to the original attack of that monster. So you basically inflict 200 points of damage to your opponent, and you get to pop a card, and you inflict damage to your opponent equal to the monster that was destroyed by this effect. We then play a single copy of Beals, because Beals is pretty easy to summon in this deck, to be able to just have you an additional monster that can just not be destroyed by card effects and not be destroyed by battle. One copy of Supreme King Dragon Clearwing. Clearwing is, again, pretty good in this deck because it can just board wipe against your opponent, especially with the Odd Eyes Synchron. It's just really good. One copy of Meteor Burst. Meteor Burst you're usually going to summon off of Absolute Dragon, which you play a single copy of Absolute Dragon in here because it is, again, absolutely insane, and it has some really, really good effects that Basically, what you can do with this card is when any opponent's monster declares an attack, you can detach material from this card, negate the attack. Then you can special summon an Odd Eyes monster from your graveyard. And if this XZ summon card you control is sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one Odd Eyes monster from your extra deck, except another copy of itself, which can be your Meteor Burst Dragon. One copy of Big Eye. Big Eye just takes opponent's monsters, which is why you play it as a one of. One copy of Rebellion Dragon. Rebellion Dragon is really good because it can attack multiple times. It's just an overall really good powerhouse card. Raging Dragon, however, is the one that we usually summon in this particular build because it can attack multiple times. And then once per turn, you can detach a material from this card and then destroy as many cards your opponent controls as possible. And if you do, this card gains 200 attack for each card that was destroyed until the end phase, or it can attack a second time during each battle phase. But both of these monsters have to have a monster that's originally an XZ's monster to activate those effects, which is pretty easy just to resolve those effects by using the copy of Zhaoxi Magician to be able to use either or of them to be able to summon the other one. We then play a single copy of Access Code Talker just to board wipe our opponent to be able to get us additional OTKs. Appaloosa for the zones. This card is really good in this deck. One copy of Selene, Queen of the Master Magician. She's really good in this deck too because she has some really good effects to be able to just get you additional plays with some of your spellcasters. You usually don't summon her that much, but she's here just in case you need it. One copy of Unicorn just to spin stuff. Phoenix to pop spells and traps, and a single copy of IP Masquerena because you use Masquerena and some other cards on your side of the field to go into your copy of Appaloosa just to be able to get you additional monster negation. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a really fun deck. I have to recommend this, guys, to you because it's a really fun deck to play around with, and it's just an overall cool deck to play Odd Eyes because it was actually Yugioh's main deck, was kind of like playing with all three of them with Perform Pals, Odd Eyes, and the Perform Pal, Odd Eyes, and the Pendulum Magicians. Is just a really, really amazing deck. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on the same come part notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.